Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
International Human Rights Day.
Good morning,
Department
ma'am.
of Political Science invites all of you to this webinar on human rights. Human rights are prerequisites for human existence. The significance of human rights is demanding more attention to handle the complex nature of the society. It is not exaggerating to say that human rights have become inevitable topic in this pandemic situation. Hence, we have felt appropriate to reiterate the significance of human rights on this International Human Rights Day. Now I request students, before we start the lecture, please mute your audios.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Hello.
Please don't,
Good morning, sir.
please mute your audios. In the middle of the talk, please don't unmute because we'll give you the time at the last. So you don't please unmute in the middle. Okay? So now I request Dr. P. Rajendra Prasad, Senior Faculty of Political Science Department, to introduce our resource person to the gathering.
Hello. Good morning, all of you. Good morning, sir. Hello.
Morning, Andy.
Sir, is it audible?
Yeah, is it audible? Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Andy, it's audible.
Sir, good morning, sir, once again.
Good morning.
So I feel it's a privilege to introduce Professor B.V. Maralidhar, sir, and who is the principal of Sri Venkateswara University, Tirupati. Sir is presently working as a principal of Dr. Sri Venkateswara University. Earlier, Sir served as the vice principal, and Sir, he was the professor in the political science, and he was the head of the department, and he was chairman in different colleges in different parts of the country also. And Sir specialized in international relations and foreign policy. And Sir is having completed the 32 years of experience in his teaching field, and research is having the 27 years of the service in the research areas. And Sir published so many papers internationally and national journals, and Sir edited nearly more than 10 books he edited, and he attended so many conferences and so many seminars, symposiums, and workshops nationally and internationally. And Sir is having that he talked in the more than 10 international seminars and webinars, and he has delivered so many lectures in different parts of the country. And Sir is also now a resource person to the civil services coaching centers also in different states. So very happy to announce that word Sir is having the good capability and sir is serving as a faculty in different the civil service coaching centers in two or I think three states. And sir delivered so many UGC special lectures also. And sir is having, he awarded the PhDs and so many PhD, nearly 16 PhDs under his guidance, published. So many scholars submitted PhD thesis under his guidance, and nearly 10 MPhil dissertations were submitted under Sir Professor D.V. Maralidhar sir under his guidance. So, sir is selection committee member, selection committee expert for IIT Tirupati also, and other some institutes also. And sir is the editor, article editor, Sage Open Publications, USA, and he is currently the consulting editor for ICJ and ICFI publications, Hyderabad. And he attended so many conferences and symposiums as a resource person, different parts of the country. And sir visited so many countries also, so many countries like Malaysia, Korea, and Netherlands, Belgium, US, all these things. Sir visited so many countries. So simply, you can say it is the sir is totally dedicated to that upliftment of the students academically in extracurricular activities and in sports also. And we are very happy to announce you that the sir is a good sportsman, he's a good player, tennis player also. So we are really, we are fortunate, sir, to have today on this occasion to hear your address on this particular day, that is the International Human Rights Day 2020. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So, and sir, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, and are you able to hear me? Yes, sir. Rajendra Prasad garu.
Hello.
Are
Yes,
you
sir,
able to
we
hear
can
me?
hear you, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, that's good. Because
Now I hand over the session to you, sir. Sir, please,
Yeah.
you can continue, sir.
yeah, because I don't have any brochure or anything like that.
Sir,
And,
I'll share the
pleasure-
PPT, sir.
Yeah, you will share the PPT, no problem. Just
Yes, sir.
let me have the introductory remarks. Yeah, that's good. Okay, human rights.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rajendra Prasad garu, and I'm very happy that I'm once again back to this college for the third time, I think so. 2 times Dr. Beulah has invited me, and I can say Noel and Beulah are our family friends for the last 3 decades or so. And that relationship is continuing. And I being a tennis player, Noel being a tennis player, we both represented our university 3 times each. And he's a good friend of my brother. He's my brother's classmate also. So that way our relationship is continuing. And in between, I was introduced to Dr. Rajendra Prasad garu, and was kind enough to invite me to be a part of this particular International Human Rights Day. To be very honest with you, friends, and the colleagues from this college, academic consultants, student friends, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning once again to every one of you. And today being the International Day of Human Rights, as usual, because of the protocol, there is a lot of activity in my university and outside, and in between, I had to squeeze my time to be with you. And that's the reason why I could not say no when Rajendra Prasad garu asked me yesterday to be a part of this particular program. Okay. So before we have a discussion, I don't say it's a talk or something like that. And at the end of that, I'll give you 5 to 10 minutes time to raise your doubts or to point out anything which you want regarding this. And as far as I know, I'll be giving my views or my answers to this. Friends, as said by Dr. Prasad Garu, that's my specialization is completely different from what I'm going to talk. So in one way, I can say that I'm an odd man out on this particular topic, but yet when he invited me, I could not say no, because my specialization is international relations and foreign policy. We talk very little about human rights, except in one particular chapter. But still, as a student of political science and as faculty of social sciences, I think every one of us must know something about certain concepts. And one such concept is human rights. Now I request the person who is going to share the PPT, please do slide by slide, and let's make it very brief, because yesterday I had to squeeze my time and keep it. I had to complete it by 3 o'clock. So there was a lot of work to be done, and in between, all the work has been done. And there's a bit of overlapping also, which I'll be skipping. Okay, please. Can you share it? Yeah. Today the discussion will be on human rights and Indian Constitution. What I want to relate it. I will be talking about the human rights in the international context, as well how the Indian Constitution has been related to the concept of human rights, and finally we can have a discussion whether human rights are being applied as per the Constitution or not, where the lacuna is. Please, next one. Next slide, please. Yes. So one of the, as students of political science and social sciences, you must be knowing about Professor H.J. Lasky. He beautifully defines about the human rights. He says, every state is known by the rights it maintains. Here the state means a nation. So every nation or every society is known by the rights it maintains. If you maintain good rights, that means that state or that society is perfect. If it doesn't mean there is something wrong with that society. Thereby, the importance of human rights are very well said by this particular quote. Every state is known by the rights it maintains, unquote, by Professor Lasky. And basing on that, why we are discussing about human rights? The reason being, there is another contradiction to this. Very beautiful. I don't know which scripture it is, but in one of the elite theories, I have come across this particular statement talking about the rights. Every man is equal, but some men are more equal than others. It says all men are equal, but some men are more equal than others. So it is very contradictory to what Professor H.J. Lasky has said. Because here everyone is treated equally. That's what the Vienna Declaration of Program of Action, June 1993, paragraph 5 says. It is the responsibility of the international community to see that the human rights are maintained equally to everyone. But one scripture in that elite theory, a part of modern political analysis, says that all men are equal, but some men are more equal. That shows somewhere human rights are not being applied equally in any society. Whether it is a developed or developing, there is kind of violation or discrimination as far as the implementation of human rights are concerned. And thereby, December 10th is being celebrated as the International Rights or Human Rights Day all over the world. Even after centuries, still we are saying that, I don't say man, human being must be treated or must be respected equally. But somehow or the other, friends, it's not happening. Please, next slide. Yes, let's go to the history or the background or the genesis of the 20th century human rights documents, which started around not in AD, in BC itself, around 16th century BC, Babylonian Code of Hammurabi. It started with that and ended with the 1789 French Declaration on the Rights of the Man and Citizen and United States Bill of Rights. Friends, I am very fortunate to see one part of United States during my visit there in 2007 and 2014. I have seen where this Bill of Rights have been signed, the place, and everything has been pasted on the walls. The copy has been pasted on the walls. So looking at that, I was remembering what I was studying. Did the human rights really matter so much for the present society? And I felt maybe the intention was that it should be applied equally to everyone, but in actual practice, it is not happening. Next please. Yes, let's come to the 19th and 20th century human rights based on natural rights. That means the natural rights means they come naturally by birth. So it starts with 1863 and ends with 1947 Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi using non-violent protest leading India's to independence. In between, you have the Geneva Convention, the League of Nations, the women's gained the right to vote, the Slavery Convention. I have seen how slaves have been treated in United States. There are still pictures and photographs in that particular state of Philadelphia and everywhere. And United Nations Charter, San Francisco. I visited UNO also. I was there for one full day. So I have seen the charter. And in the charter, it clearly says that to save the succeeding generation from the scourge of war, to treat everyone equally. Maybe that's there in theory, but when it comes to actual practice, that's not being applied. And the case of our Indian national independence movement clearly states that human rights violations have been a part and parcel of our national movement against which Mahatma Gandhi has fought. Next one, please. This is what the 1948 basic documents on human rights say. Universal Declaration, UDHR, ICHR, and then the general comments and recommendations by all the treaty bodies, including General Comment 12, 1999, General Comment 15 on drinking water 2002. So the specific topics which have been covered in the International Covenant on the CPR and the ESCR are that torture, racial discrimination, gender, and the children. And you must have seen every day in newspapers and on TV that in one part or the other, in our country and outside the country, the torture, racial discrimination, gender discrimination is being still carried out. One classical example for the defeat of Donald Trump was the abuses against the African blacks. Friends, it's not exaggeration that the kind of discrimination which exists in our system is there in United States also. I have made 5 visits, not one visit, 5 visits to US, and I have closely observed the American system, American society from a close angle. even in the 20th century, that racial discrimination still persists. I'm a bit surprised how come the so-called developed country, which has given, which was responsible for all the other nations to have a revolution, the American Revolution of 17th century, which is a forerunner to all the other revolutions which have taken place after that, still follow this racial discrimination. And we have seen the result of that racial discrimination in the recent elections, wherein one point which was raised by the Democrats was that I don't know what the kind of word which has to be used, the utter discrimination against the American blacks. Yes, next please. Yes, what does this Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was drafted by the UN Commission, which was first chaired by Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady, the wife of Franklin Roosevelt, with 56 member nations on December 10th, 1948. And so far there are 193 member states, and they have agreed that they will be a part of this particular human rights, and they want to educate their citizens about the principles of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And most of the countries which are the part and parcel of UNO have incorporated the principles into their constitutions, and India is no exception to this. So what this UDHR specifies, it says that the life should be dignified. Yes, the minimal conditions of a dignified life. What is the minimal conditions? People may ask, I want to have this kind of building, I want to have this kind of luxury life. No, the basic things, what I feel as a citizen of this country requires is food, shelter, and clothing. And these are the basic things which require. And after that, the other things come. What you call it in Hindi, roti, kapda, or makan. And how much you require. What the kind of lifestyle you have to lead. All these things comes under the basic concepts of human rights. And this is what Mrs. Roosevelt has declared when she chaired that particular session in 1948. Next, please. Yes, when we talk about human rights at the international level, they are basically divided into 5: civil, political, economic, cultural, and social. And as even the UN, at the end of at the background, you can see the emblem of United Nations Organization. Even that United Nations Organization has clearly stated that these are the 5 rights which are to be taken care by each and every member nation. It doesn't mean that if you are not a member, you should not take care. Whether you are a member or not, rights have to be taken care. Yes, this is what the civil and political rights say. Civil rights, regarding the judicial system. Political rights deals with the political power. Because every person has the right to appeal to the judiciary if something is done against him or her. That's what the civil rights simply means. And the political rights, in simple means, you have the right to contest, to talk, to have freedom of speech within the constraints of your constitution. Right to freedom of speech, it doesn't mean that you can talk all the things and just get away with it. It doesn't mean that you can hurt the feelings of religious feelings or caste feelings or community feelings of your fellow human beings. That has to be taken care. So political rights are given, but those political rights come with some kind of restrictions. Unfortunately, that's not happening in our country, because the people who are in power, they think that they can talk whatever they want and then just can get away with it. And the people who approach the court, they are in a dilemma whether the court is going to give them the necessary justice or not. Next, please. Yes, there are economic rights, economic, social, cultural rights. They are the neglected half of human rights. That's what I want to feel. Neglected means even though the concept of economy has been there, but they are being treated as second rate when compared to the civil and political rights. So what you are, where you are working, how much you are working, how much you are producing, how much the service is being done comes under the economic rights, and the social rights, as I said, the standard of living, the quality of life, and the cultural rights deal with the cultural aspects. Everyone has the right to improve, develop their culture, subcultures, arts and science. The others do not have any kind of business to interfere with it. That kind of system I have seen in US, where there is a lot of cultural tolerance than compared to others. When this 2001 9/11 attacks took place, you know, friends, how many people belonging to that particular community were killed? Hardly 9. Then people are asking, even though there is a racial discrimination, when it comes for cultural tolerance, the 9/11 attacks are a classical example. Because even though a particular community has committed that by bringing down the economic superiority of the United States, the Twin Towers, I was there in the Twin Towers also, the WTC, World Trade, now it's called as Ground Zero. Still the marks of 9/11 attacks are still fresh in the minds of the people of the United States. The guide who took us there for a round the trip, he was in tears when we came to that particular place. He was remembering how nearly 3,000 people lost their lives just within few hours. Next, please. So, distinction between the civil political rights and the economic, social, and cultural rights. So, it's clearly mentioned in this table form and what has to be done. Okay, and this one, the civil and political rights are to be immediately implemented, whereas economic, social, and cultural rights are to be progressively implementation. That's the problem with this: immediate implementation and progressive implementation. When it comes to progressive implementation, most of the governments in the world say that let's take some time. So thereby, the economic, social, and cultural rights are called as the neglected of the. Yes, they have been neglected. Next one, please. This is the International Bill on Human Rights, which is UDHR, International Convention. Yes, what we have discussed: political rights, economic and social rights, and optional products of the ICCPR. Next one, please. Yes. To summarize this, they are indivisible and highly interrelated. You cannot divide them. Give 50% to someone and 50% to the rest. All the 5 categories of these human rights are to be given to every individual in total. Because civil rights are linked with political rights are linked to economic rights are linked to cultural rights, and cultural rights are linked to social rights, and social rights are in turn linked to the civil rights. Because of their interdependence and interrelatedness, there is no question of indivisibility. That has to be kept in mind by the governments. But unfortunately, when it comes to actual practice, what I have seen on the campus and outside the campus for the last 30 plus years is that there is indivisibility. You give certain rights to some people, your own, and some rights to others, whom you think they are not a part and parcel of your, what we call as a group, or a caste or a community. Next, please. Yes, let's come to India. India is also a part of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and we have a long history, whether it's a League of Nations, whether it is the UNO. India has been the forefront in signing this. And how far is the big question mark, $1 million question mark, which everyone has to answer. Whether we are really implementing the agreements for which we have been a part of it in the past and at present. Please. So this is what the serial number, the name of the rights, the Universal Declaration, and the last column is the Indian Constitution. I made it very clear for the students to understand what the Universal Declaration says and how it is related to the Indian Constitution. If it is Article 7, it's Article 14. Equality before law. We can talk for hours together on these rights in Indian context. Because as I was telling you, in theory, everything is perfect. There is no doubt about it. There are very few countries who implement the theoretical aspects in practice. And those countries, to a large extent, are very happy. But the majority nations in the world, they sign, they write, but when it comes to implementation, somewhere there is a gap, and that gap is widening. Whether it is women's right, whether it is children's right, whether it is the rights of the weaker sections, the rights of the minorities, the rights of the blacks. That because of this widening gap between the theoretical aspects and the practical aspects, we are still talking about human rights. So, equality of opportunity, freedom of speech, peaceful assembly. Yes, how many of us can assemble peacefully in the present conditions? We get the permission from the police or the law enforcing agencies that we'll assemble peacefully, but once we assemble, it turns into violence. So all these things. Please, next one. Yes, right to work, to just and favorable conditions of work. I know how many of you are slogging right from morning 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. to evening 5 p.m. in your offices, in your education institutions, with a little time break. So the right to work, to just and favorable conditions of work, according to Article 41, is not being implemented in our country. The reason being, they say that, okay, it's there in theory, but when it comes to actual practice, it's very different. The works get pending, so you have to. And the equal pay for equal work. I don't think so. This is being applied anywhere. Let me give you an example as a sportsman. You take any, because I'm a tennis player, you take any tennis event, there is a discrimination between men paycheck and women paycheck. Men winner paycheck and women winner paycheck. Hardly women get 50% of what the men gets when they win that tournament. The same case with cricket. Vitali Raj once pointed out, why you are discriminating against us. We are also playing. We are also following the same format. But still, when compared to the men cricket team, we are being discriminated. So this discrimination is there all over the world, in almost in all areas, I can say, except in the public sector, where but for the particular profession, particular occupation, and particular category, you are being paid equally. But in others, the discrimination is there. Next place. Yes, coming to the human rights violation. Why we have been talking about this human rights in Indian context? I have pointed out these things. Treatment of minorities and the weaker section. We can add this weaker section. For the last 20 plus years, when certain political parties have come to power, the treatment of the minorities and the weaker sections and the lower rank of this population are being affected. Because in the last webinar, when me and my wife were there as part, I was telling you, I'm just a teacher. I'm not a politician. I cannot take sides. I have to tell what has happened. What has happened. And we have to accept it. We can't twist the truth. If someone has done something good, that's good. If someone has done something bad and still in power, I have to tell that to my students. I cannot project it in a different way and give a wrong picture. So, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and you have seen in Assam how this has been misused. And you must have seen a few years back, one lady who has protested in such a way that this society has to feel ashamed in public against this particular Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which gives absolute powers to the military to do whatever they want in these northeast states. She was the one who rejected it, and she has to remove her clothes and stand naked to protest against it. That has been the misuse of that AFSPA Act, which the government at the time was telling, no, we wanted to check insurgency. No doubt about it. You have to check insurgency, you have to check terrorism, you have to check Naxalism, you have to check all the isms, but not by violating their rights. And women rights, children rights, we all know. Even if you look at our own family, women are not being treated, in most of the cases, women are not being treated on par with men. Or girls are not being treated on par with boys. So I always feel that instead of talking or telling something to others, let us follow from our side. How far we have been treating others equally. Whether it is our colleagues, whether it is our own family members, whether it is the children, whether it's... If we can question ourselves that, then maybe I think in future there will be some kind of change in the behavior and attitude of the people in general, and sexual orientation and gender identity. This regarding the women, you want to identify the gender of the incoming baby. It is not correct. It's nothing but human rights violation, restriction of free speech. We have the right to talk, but I once again tell you, it comes with a tag that you must be very careful what you talk. And civil society, freedom of association. Yes, you have the right to form a civil society, you have freedom of association. Nobody denies it. And if they are legal and lawful, the government must permit them to function according to the laws of the Constitution. If not, then the government has the right to take an action. And finally, death penalty. So much of discussion is being done in this country as far as the death penalty and torture is concerned. Whether death penalty should be there or it should be abolished. Even in the United States, when I was there are one method by which death penalty is through lethal injection. Suppose a person is convicted for something, then if the court awards the death penalty, it's going to be administering an injection into that person, the accused, I can say. So within few minutes, the poison or the lethal injections will enter the whole body, and the person dies. And there has been a subject of discussion in some of the states that death penalty should be avoided there also. So even here, when there was one incident on the attack on Parliament, many went and protested against that death penalty should be abolished. So there are pros and cons, how this has to be used, how this should not be used. In such a situation, my sincere appeal to all the governments, let's not talk about other countries. In our country, it is their responsibility to promote, protect the human rights by providing equality, freedom, peace, hope, dignity, rule of law. That's very, very important. Rule of law, prosperity, and justice. If this is being taken care, maybe the need to discuss about human rights or women rights or children rights or freedom of speech, freedom of association, torture, death penalty need not be taken up again and again. So before I wind up my discussion, I can say the time has come for us to know what are our rights and ensure that those rights are always protected. Don't think that someone is going to come and protect our rights. It is the responsibility and the duty of every individual to protect, promote the rights. And if something goes wrong, then they have this judiciary, which to some extent, I don't say 100%, to some extent, can give some kind of leverage to the person who has appealed to them as far as these rights are concerned. So, on this particular day, let us once again pledge that we treat the others as human beings in whatever position we are. Till that is realized, the concept of human rights will always be on the agenda of the international community. So many centuries have gone by, still we are talking about human rights. Maybe the time has to come that enough is enough. So let's put a stop to this and let's make ourselves happy and allow others to be happy. What you call the concept of live and let live of Pandit Nehru, the Panchashila agreement. You live and allow others to live. If that is done, then there is no need for any kind of ill feeling and other things towards your fellow human beings. Till the time, this concept will be a part and parcel of the discussion at each and every academic platform. And so much of research has been done. In my university, we have a separate Department of Human Rights and Social Development. And when I look at them and I ask, what's this, sir, what do? Even in our own department, we don't have the human rights promotion or protection. That's the kind of situation which exists everywhere. So with this, I once again thank the organizing committee and all the faculty members and their student friends for patiently listening for more than 30 to 35 minutes. And now it's open for discussion for 10 minutes because at 11 I have to go. Anyone can raise any question, or if you want to make a comment, you're free to make a comment. There's nothing wrong in it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
The students, now you can ask your queries. You can unmute and speak. Sir,
Yeah.
I am one of the faculty.
Yes. Yes, ma. Tell me. You can make your own observations, no problem. Because you must have seen.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
did you get me? Sir, am I audible? Actually,
Yeah,
I asked a
you're
question.
audible.
Yes.
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah, Geeta.
I'm just referring to the latest happening that has taken place in Eluru, sir, where there is no minimum guarantee for the basic needs. Now the report is out, and there is much of regarding the water they drink or the milk they consume. So how would we have to look over
Yes,
this issue, sir?
that's a very sorry issue to be faced by anyone. Even after 72 years of independence, we are still not in a position to get potable water. And success, I'm not blaming this government. The successive governments are to be blamed for this. When the very simple question. When I came to Tirupati, the population was around 30,000. Now it is 3,50,000 and 50,000 floating population. Roughly, we have around 4 lakhs population in Tirupati. I'm here right from 1974. But what I want to tell you is that when the populations began to increase, the municipal corporations or the local bodies and the state governments which were existing at that time, they must have paid some attention. In future, suppose the population increases, the basic things, roads, infrastructure, health, water, sanitation, how these areas are to be taken care. If that kind of planning has gone by, maybe the incidents of Eluru or what has happened in other cases would not have been. When I was in Europe also, I have seen the rural side of Europe, both in bus, on by train out. I was asking one of the local guys, why most of the people are settling in the rural areas. You know the reply which he gave? Sir, in Europe, compared to the cities and towns, the rural areas are equally developed. We provide all the facilities to the people here. So thereby, most of the people, instead of living in congested cities and towns, they prefer the rural areas. That I've seen in US also. Rural areas completely developed. Why can't we do that? Why there is a reverse process which is going on in our country, everywhere. And thereby, places like towns and cities are getting so much congestion. And you're closing down the sewage and sanitation pipelines also and constructing the buildings. And where is the guarantee that there will not be any leakage and the leakage will not get mixed into the drinking water? as you're asking, I always tell my students, I'm just asking for a good pot of water. I don't require Coke and Pepsi. But unfortunately, the government is saying, you guys, you drink Coke and Pepsi, you don't require water. Still, after 7 decades of independence, women and children are going or walking kilometers to get one pot of, I don't say potable water, drinking water, some water. This is the state of affairs. So in one way, the human rights violations have taken place in Eluru. But as you know, the blame game. The opposition party blames the ruling party shifts the blames on the opposition or someone, and you made someone as a scapegoat and say that, and no funds. The most problem is, one of the most problem in our system is that lack of funds. Even to carry out small works. This is the state of affairs I have seen in my university. Even to get an electric tube to be replaced, it may take 6 months. How much it costs? Around 120 rupees. They say that we don't have funds, sir. That's what I'm telling you. The economic, social, civil, political rights, all these things are linked together. If you are economically stable, you can provide the political aspects and civil aspects to the people. But economically, most of the states in our country, except few, are not good. The economic conditions are not good. And thereby, the instance of Eluru, I think it's not going to end here. It may repeat somewhere else. Yes, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir,
Yeah.
I'm Reshma, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I think right to equality in our fundamental rights doesn't practice in our India, sir.
Yes.
Because in our education system, government is differentiating according to the caste they belong to. Because seats and ranks are giving according to the caste. So, what do you think in this process?
I fully, Reshma, right? I
Yes,
fully
sir.
agree with you, Reshma, because let's call it the fact a fact. As I told you, we are all teachers. We are not politicians. Let's not twist anything. And in most of the institutions, that what I have seen is that there is a discrimination. Among the staff, among the non-teaching, among the students, which is not correct. And thereby, the very purpose of having the education system is going down slowly. The standards are going down slowly. A person who cannot write even one line properly is in high positions in some of the universities and education institutions. I don't know what's going to happen to the system as such. Because last month I was in one of the meetings and one of the officials was dictating the letter. The person who is supposed to take it, he was unable to take it down. He was having nearly 20 years of experience in that particular field. So when he was unable, then that official turned towards me. Murli sir is there, he can do, because I was from English medium. They felt that I can do something. When I looked at that, what he has written down, there are hardly 4 or 5 lines. In 4 or 5 lines, each line I found at least minimum 1 or 2 mistakes. Minimum 1 or 2 mistakes. I was asking him, so these are the small things which should have taken care. So this is how things happen, Reshma. So what you said, I fully accept. Let's give importance to merit rather than to other factors. If that is the case, definitely we have one of the best educated brains in the world who can work hard. But because of this politics, we are unable to project ourselves. And you know where we stand in the rankings, except the IITs and IIM. Almost all the universities in this country are out of 200 at the Asia level. And who has to be blamed? Who is going to bell the cat? That's once again a question mark. Okay? Next. Anyone?
Student, any more queries?
I'll take one question, please, because
I think
yeah, I'll take one more, and you can put your you have my email ID, and that you can post it on this one in the chat box. Yes, please. One more.
Girls, you can question on any topic. Sir is versatile.
Not versatile. No, don't. Because I know I became a jack of all and master of none. Earlier, before I became principal, I used to concentrate only on my subject. Now, because of the protocol and all those things, I was forced to attend so many meetings in which I am not at all connected to. I'm having a tough time also. Yes.
so. I think no more queries, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
Sir,
That's a
sir, in India, in many politicians mostly are illiterated, no, sir. See, in Andhra Pradesh, only many politicians, the way they speak the language with people are, some politicians are speaking unparliamentary languages. Don't you think that our politicians should be literated?
Yes, and comparatively, for the last two elections, we have some kind of educated parliamentarians, educated MLAs entering the assemblies. No doubt about it. There is a change, but with the kind of with this, what's your name? Your name, please. Hello.
Reshma, sir.
Reshma, yes. Reshma, what you said is correct. The kind of language which they are using, it's very horrible. It's nothing but, I'm telling you, in one way, it's a human rights violation because you are not addressing the other person, your colleague, either in the parliament or in the assembly, as in a dignified manner. But unfortunately, there are no laws for that. That's the reason why you can go and go to the court and sue, file a defamation suit or something like that. But apart from that, nothing can be done. And thereby, these parliamentarians and the MLAs are escaping the punishment. And they don't have the courtesy to say that, okay, we have spoken yesterday. I'm very sorry. There is nothing wrong in telling sorry. Because you made a mistake yesterday. Today, you can repent on that. But what I find, as you are saying, either in the parliament or in the assemblies, nothing. Nothing. I have seen the Indian parliament working and have seen the assembly working. in person. And I've seen the American Congress also working, how it worked. I was there in the American Congress in 2008, 2007. We were there for a whole day. The kind of language they use is not that unparliamentary, that's not hurting. They may shout, but the words they use, not the kind of words which our parliamentarians and, the political leaders use. That's not. Okay? Shall I
Yes, sir.
take
Sir, it's better to keep exam, sir, for politicians before giving ticket to them, sir.
Yes, everything. Yeah, they have to be first properly trained, not we. They have to be
Yes, sir.
trained. They have to be properly scrutinized, and then only they must be allowed to contest. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is contesting and doing whatever they want and spoiling the whole system. And they are giving messages to the general public how they should be. They should be role models. But unfortunately, they are not.
Yes, sir.
Okay, with this, I once again thank each and every one of you for spending your time, and hope I can meet you sometime offline also. Okay.
Yeah, sir. Thank you, sir. Even though in your busy schedule, you spent some time for the interaction also. And before we wind up the session, now I request C.H. Geeta Devi, Dean of Student Affairs and Department Lecturer in Political Science, to propose vote of thanks.
So it's a privilege really to have your session today. You have started very modestly, sir, that your specialization is different, that is international relations. But the way you have started by Lasky's definition, saying that every state is known by the rights it maintains. And as a follow-up, you have given a reference of a very specific theory, elite theory, which reflects on saying of more equality. All are equal, but more equality. The first two comparison itself speaks that how vast the human rights subject is. You have made a complete feast to our eyes on human rights. You have touched the historical aspects, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and prior to that, with a reference of the Indian freedom movement, special reference to the father of our nation, and you touched upon the basic documents on human rights, UDHR, ICCR, ICESCR. So it's very nice, sir. Life should be dignified. All of us know that. But contradictory, we have the civil, political, economic, cultural, and social rights being differentiated. And you have very well said that immediate implementation is much focused on civil and political rights, and the progressive implementation goes to the other three different rights. So human rights are indivisible and highly interrelated. And what we have really known is that, as I just want to refer that every right has a corresponding duty. So as we are celebrating International Human Rights Day, let's maybe not exactly in the near future, a day may come where we have to celebrate International Human Rights Duties Day. Then only these sessions of or observing the International Human Rights Day will not be a mere celebration or a mere observation. You touched human rights violations in India with relevant examples, sir. The sensible part of your presentation is that you gave your own idea to enhance the quality of human rights, the penetration of human rights. And while you have really presented in a very meticulous way, you have given relevant examples, you touched upon the political aspects, you touched upon the sports, the gender discrimination. So in a nutshell, even though it's a time for 1 hour, you really made the best out of it, sir. We are very much thankful for your presentation, for your participation, for your immediate acceptance of our invitation, sir. Hope to see you in many more sessions from our department, sir. Thank you very much. And the Department of Political Science also thank our dear sister principal, Dr. Jayanta Quadras, Vice Principals for providing the continued support in making it happen. I also thank our beloved students who have been really with their active participation, pleasant listening. They have really made this session it is fruitful. Last but not least, I also thank our IT team, Asad sir and Rajnikant sir for having and supporting us all through the session. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
ఏంటమ్మది హిమబిందు అన్మ్యూట్ మైక్